Morning. Once again, this is Monty from DPL Surveillance Equipment. We're back at it again this morning, and this is going to be I think it's going to be an interesting podcast, mainly focusing on something that we haven't covered in a while. But before we get into the details of it, I just want to say hello to everyone and thanks for joining us, and hopefully you'll share this podcast, and so we can get the word out and get more people to take a look at the videos and read the articles and everything associated with the content that I'm putting out there. Today I'm wiping down my car. It's red. It's kind of a little bit gloomy day. It's going to be a little bit cooler, but thank goodness. I've been hearing about hurricanes in Florida and floods and different places, and it's just in Texas, and it's like some people are more fortunate than others, so count your blessings. Definitely, depending upon where you live, things could be a lot worse. My name is Monty Henry, owner of DPL Surveillance Equipment, and we run a full-service surveillance and security equipment company, and we have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products, and 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support, and the largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent or you can lay away as well. In addition to that, we have the largest information repository that you're going to find probably online and offline for commercial business. We have plenty of articles, plenty of podcasts to listen to, a huge number of demonstration videos, correspondingly huge number of blogs, and just a ton of free information. So take advantage of the things that we're writing and blogging about pertaining to health and fitness, pertaining to cryptocurrencies, pertaining to economics and finance, pertaining to surveillance. Just one second here. Pertaining to surveillance and counter-surveillance as well, even anti-terrorist type of technologies as well, which you're going to find on the website. So moving right along from that, we also have to mention that we have we're accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and I want to make sure that you crypto millionaires, and you know who you are, you want to patronize our website and spend some of that discretionary income on state-of-the-art, lifetime guaranteed and warranted law enforcement grade spy gadgets. We have voice recorders. We have tracking devices, GPS tracking devices. We have counter surveillance products, otherwise known as bug detectors. We've upgraded our complete line of hidden cameras, otherwise known as nanny cameras. We have some nanny cameras that even record into the cloud, so you don't have to worry about using your computer and having someone discover that you're using your computer for your surveillance system, and thus disabling your computer or something like that, or shutting off your computer and ruining your ability to use it as part of your surveillance equipment apparatus. So you want to take advantage of that. And then we have a large number of used products. They were formerly our rented products, and now they're used. We can't sell them as new. So we're going to get a little bit of noise. Just 1 second. So again, the rented products, they cannot be sold as new products. We have to sell them as used products. So you can get some pretty good discounts on those items as well. And what else? We're shying away, of course, from the MasterCards and the Visas and American Expresses and all of that, Discovers. Those bloodsuckers have been, we call them rent seekers as well. They basically charge you and us a lot of money for doing nothing. They're just basically seeking rent, like vampires who basically want to extract value from companies like mine in exchange for nothing at all. They basically want to charge us to process transactions, when in actuality transactions should cost pennies or less when you think about it. One computer sends another computer some digits, bits or bytes or something. But if you listen to MasterCard and Visa and American Express, if you could ever talk to people directly nowadays, they'll try to tell you that it's actually laborious and time-consuming and painstakingly difficult to get bits and bytes from one computer to another, as if computers are straining under their pressure of sending these zeros and bits and bytes and ones back and forth. Then if you know anything like I know about security, you know that they do a very poor job for fraud protection and security. And the reason why we know that, the reason why you know it, is because there's only like 1 billion or so records, data records, between 1 billion and 2 billion data records that are actually in the hands of hackers. Hackers have no problem getting access to all of our confidential credit card information. When they breach, Equifax and TransUnion and Target and hotel chains, when those credit cards, when that data is stolen, from Yahoo and LinkedIn, when they steal that type of information, that demonstrates that we can't trust those intermediaries. We can't trust the credit card insurers. We can't trust the banking system. They don't know how to secure our data. Okay, they're better at just charging us for moving money around as compared to actually giving us real value or protection or security. So we want to move away from that. We want to use Bitcoin. We want to use cryptocurrencies, and that way we don't have to worry about giving up all that personal information just to move money around. With Bitcoin, for instance, I can send you $1 million or $1 billion just based upon you scanning a barcode on my phone, or vice versa. So anyway, the website has been redesigned rather. Looks very nice. Should look good on mobile phones, and it should be optimized so that it comes up in the search engines, and it should be easy to navigate. I verify a lot of this myself. Every once in a while, I test it out to see how it's performing when I do searches or whatever on the internet. So I'm moving right along. Today's topic. Let's see. What is today's topic? Today's topic. Senator Elizabeth Warren unveils anti-corruption legislation. Again, Senator Elizabeth Warren unveils anti-corruption legislation. A proposal serves as a vehicle to place the first-term senator at the forefront of the Democratic Party's resistance to Donald Trump. Senator Elizabeth Warren, in the latest move, positioning herself for a 2020 presidential campaign, on Tuesday proposed sweeping new ethics restrictions for federal officials. The Massachusetts Democrats' proposal includes a ban on individual stock ownership by members of Congress, White House staff, and federal judges. A prohibition on Americans serving as lobbyists for foreign countries, and a mandate on the release of tax returns by candidates for president and Congress. Ms. Warren's legislation, dubbed the Anti-Corruption and Public Integrity Act, is unlikely to become law while Republicans control Congress and the White House, but it does serve as a vehicle to place the first-term senator at the forefront of the Democratic Party's resistance to Donald Trump. Washington corruption is not a small problem, and it would not be rooted out with small solutions, she said. Ms. Warren's proposal would apply conflict of interest laws to the president and vice president and require them to sell assets through a blind trust. In the name of transparency, she would require the IRS to release the previous 8 years of tax returns for any candidate for president and vice president, and then do so for each year they are in office. Excuse the noise. The IRS would make public 2 years of tax returns for congressional candidates in addition to each year they are in office. So it looks like Elizabeth Warren is striking at the heart of some key issues that Donald Trump presented us with as a result of him getting in office. In other words, we all wanted to find out more about who this guy was, his financial profile and business dealings, just to make sure that there was no issues. But as you know, even up until this point, we have yet to see those tax returns. We have yet to find out who's all, where his money is being invested or not invested. What political or what particular types of groups, special interest groups or whatever, does he donate money to? But for some strange reason, America has looked the other way and again completely ignored the things that were important once upon a time as far as the things we want to know. I don't know why America seems to have an amnesia when it comes to follow-up and follow-through. If the issue on the table is tax returns, you don't rest until you get tax returns. If the issue on the table is building a wall and having Mexico pay for it, then you don't rest until you get funding from Mexico to build the wall. If the campaign issue was all about infrastructure, you don't rest until you start to see monies flowing towards infrastructure projects in your city or your state. I don't know why America, again, has this very complacent attitude whereby they're sold a bill of goods during the campaign and then no one wants to follow up and make absolutely sure that you get whatever goods were promised to you during that campaign. Okay? It's very simple. It's called follow up and follow through. But Americans are kind of lazy and complacent and preoccupied or medicated or something. So this is what you get. This is what happens. Moving right along. Mr. Trump broke precedent during the 2016 campaign by refusing to release his tax returns. He said he couldn't do that because they were being audited by the IRS. While Paul Manafort, Mr. Trump's former campaign chairman, awaits a jury's decision on 18 counts of alleged tax fraud, bank fraud, and failing to disclose foreign bank accounts related to his overseas political work. Ms. Warren would end lobbying as we know it. So, well, this is important. Paul Manafort, as the article points out, there was a whole lot revealed as a result of his tax returns and his business dealings. So there's nothing like transparency, and there's nothing like knowing who you're dealing with, okay? There's a reason why we don't have convicted criminals that go to Washington to serve in Congress and the Senate, but it seems like we have those types of individuals anyway. Somehow, when you don't have any idea what type of people you're dealing with, you learn after the fact. She would institute a lifetime lobbying ban for former presidents, vice presidents, and members of Congress, cabinet secretaries, and federal judges, and require them to disclose their sources of income for 4 years after leaving office. The proposal includes a prohibition on lobbyists being paid by foreign governments, individuals, and companies that aim to influence public policy. And Ms. Warren is calling for the creation of a new federal agency charged with enforcing new edicts, including maintaining a central clearinghouse to handle Freedom of Information Act requests made of federal agencies. Now, this could be important, too, because when you want to find out what your favorite federal agency is doing, it's nothing like putting in a Freedom of Information request. And this is how a lot of our newspapers and journalists and reporters get these in-depth stories that tell us a whole lot of good information about these agencies that they otherwise wouldn't disclose through Freedom of Information requests. So they're not that easy to get, and they're not that accessible. But when you do get them, you can get a better idea in terms of what these agencies are doing as compared to what you think they're doing and what they say they're doing. It's two totally different things. And Ms. Warren is calling for the creation of a new federal agency. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I read that. 94% of core Democratic voters disapprove of Mr. Trump's job performance, according to the July Wall Street Journal NBC News poll. But whether presidential primary voters in 2020 will be motivated by a platform to tighten ethics standards or by health care, the economy, and gun control, issues Democratic candidates are putting front and center for the midterms is unclear. So, people really have to understand, look, there are certain things that are very important, and we need to stop reacting so much when we go to the polls, but we need to be proactive. We need to have these issues laid out in front of us on our to-do list as far as finding out information on certain things, getting things done, and we need to stick to that list, and we need to make sure that we don't check them off until they're completed, until they're done, just like any personal to-do list or business to-do list. If items on your to-do list are incomplete, you follow up or you follow through, you make sure somebody is doing these things. Okay? People need to just stop being so lazy or ignorant or complacent or whatever. Ms. Warren's proposals come as she seeks to burnish her appeal to the disparate wings of the Democratic Party. Last year, she announced support for a single-payer health care plan championed by the party's liberal activists. To help build the party's establishment infrastructure, she announced in March that she would donate $5,000 to each of the 50 state Democratic parties. In May, she gave $175,000 to Democratic organizations focused on winning state legislative races. Ms. Warren also sent fundraising emails to raise campaign funds for centrist Democrats, such as Alabama Senator Doug Jones and Pennsylvania Rep. Connor Lamb. And during an appearance in New Orleans earlier this month, she made an explicit appeal to African American voters at a forum hosted by fellow Democratic Louisiana Rep. Cedric Richmond. Our criminal justice system is racist, she said. And she's absolutely right. I did my own investigation and blogging, of course, on the criminal justice system. And it looks like there's probably, 60,000 laws on the books. And a lot of them actually conflict with each other. And a lot of them actually go back to the 1800s or 1700s or something, when, before we even had automobiles. And when a police officer arrests you, he or she has the discretion to apply one of 3 different civil penal codes or something. I mean, they actually, there is no clear black and white application of the laws when you're pulled over or arrested. It's all subject to whichever of the 65,000 laws that they want to enforce at that time, depending upon your color or the time of day or the phase of the moon or something. This system that we call criminal justice system, is just a convoluted mess. And I've been a participant in policeman forums and community gatherings whereby I try to have a sensible debate or discussion about why we even have a system whereby murders and crimes and such are reported in a manner that maybe the FBI will get timely and accurate information as to what's going on in certain locales, and maybe they won't. Maybe these particular reporting systems in this city are compatible with the federal Bureau of Investigations system. Maybe they're not. Maybe the police have jurisdiction when they first arrest somebody, but when they cross over into another jurisdiction, maybe they'll hand the case off, maybe not. It's just a mess, and I don't know why we don't have more competition, even for police officers, so that we can get some private companies to offer some true innovation and incentive to actually get crime fighting brought into the 21st century. Okay? Anyway, that's a different story. We'll move on. The proposals put Ms. Warren squarely in opposition to Mr. Trump, who has repeatedly referred to her with a racial slur related to her Native American background. This idiot Donald Trump is actually stooping to the level of a kindergartner or a child by calling people racial slurs and names, and particularly women, for some strange reason. It's probably why Melania Trump is trying to make us aware through her coded messages in reference to her anti-bullying campaign. She knows full well that her husband is the main focal point for bullying, and that the whole nation, if not the whole world, needs to know that she's referring to him and his tactics when she talks about her anti-bullying campaigns that she's putting forth. So she's on board, and we all know, hopefully we all know what she actually means, even though she can't come out and say it. So moving right along. Like other would-be top-tier Democratic presidential contenders, Ms. Warren has said publicly that her focus is on winning back congressional majorities this fall, but she has done little to cool speculation that she will seek the Democratic nomination in 2020. During the New Orleans appearance, Ms. Warren was asked what changed after she passed on running for president in 2016. She replied 2 words: Donald Trump. So yeah, we're going to wrap this one up. I'm going to post this on the website and everywhere else, and I want you guys to consider Elizabeth Warren as a viable choice and viable candidate, mainly because based upon what I know about her, she ruffles feathers. She doesn't hesitate to speak her mind. She goes up against the big banks and the financial industry. If you ever look at congressional testimonies and such, where she's actually querying some of the people that are ripping us off in the banking and financial industry, she doesn't hold back. And she's not that popular with her fellow Republican senators and such, because she is so outspoken. So this is the type of person that you want. When she ran the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and brought numerous cases where people were being charged usurious rates on credit cards, and there was other situations where people were being taken advantage of by the credit card issuers and the banks and such. She's the one that led those efforts. So she has ruffled a lot of feathers, continues to ruffle a lot of feathers, and she seems to be one of the few people capable, again, of speaking her mind. So this is what type of people you want. You don't want people who are just basically bought and sold from the very beginning, and that will not change. You want people who could stand on their own 2 feet. So anyway, we're going to wrap this session up, and as we like to say at the conclusion of every session, you guys want to keep your eyes and ears open and stay safe out there, okay? We'll talk later. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.